Do you love practicing guitar but still feel frustrated with how little time you actually put in? That's exactly what happened to me. I've always loved practicing guitar. I never needed motivation or someone to push me. I would practice for as many hours as I had available, but lately something weird started happening. My love for guitar didn't change, my drive toward mastery didn't disappear, but progress kind of stalled. Week after week I found myself practicing less and less, and not because I didn't want to play, but because other things kept getting in the way. Teaching, emails, YouTube, stuff that didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but added up until one day I realized I was barely practicing at all. So I ran a 7-day experiment. I wanted to see what would happen if I actually applied all the things I already knew worked, the same things I teach others, and gave my practice time the priority it deserves. And in this video I want to share the 3 key takeaways that helped me get my practice time back and might just do the same for you. Tip number 1. In order to have any real chance of changing my guitar practice during this 7-day experiment, I had to start doing things differently. I couldn't just hope things would magically improve. I had to take control of how I was spending my time. Wishing for more hours in the day or hoping I had less on my plate wasn't an option. I have a full teaching business, I chose to build this YouTube channel, and I want to spend real time with my family. Adding focused guitar practice on top of all that felt impossible, but I wanted to confront that reality head on. And the first step was getting a clear picture of how I actually spend my time, not how I think I spend it. And that's when I remembered the technique I had used successfully in the past, but had quietly stopped applying, and it's called time blocking. I learned it from author Cole Newport, whose books have shaped a lot of my thinking. Time blocking basically means giving every minute of your day a job. You are not guessing 15 times a day what to work on, you make one clear plan and then follow it. Yeah, it might sound rigid as hell, but what I was doing wasn't working, so I decided to give it another shot. So here is how I did it. At the start of each day, I opened my notebook, checked my teaching schedule and wrote out every open slot that didn't already have something assigned. Most days I found 2 or 3 hours that were just floating unclaimed. Then I picked the exact time I would practice and how long. Once I saw that the time was actually there, I made a decision. 1 hour of focused practice every day, non-negotiable. Because I know this, if I don't put in time on my own playing, everything else starts to fall apart. My teaching becomes uninspired, I have no ideas for videos, and I feel like crap, which means my family gets the worst version of me, which I don't want, obviously. If I'm serious about improving, I have to treat my practice like an athlete treats training, not based on mood, but based on a schedule. I didn't know if it would work, but I was committed to giving it my best shot. The first 2 or 3 days were easy. I had that dopamine hit from starting something new, but as that faded, I felt the resistance creeping in and the excuses started. I know what I need to do, I don't need to write it down, right? But I knew exactly where that leads, slipping back into old habits, then wondering why I'm not practicing and being frustrated all the time. So I pushed myself. I made myself do it whether I felt like it or not. And the result? Each day I practiced 1 hour, almost no problem. What I realized is this. Focused practice wasn't about forcing myself or grinding harder, it was about seeing my time clearly and putting the right priorities into my calendar. And time blocking helped me take my time back. And yeah, 1 hour might not sound like much, but when it's intentional, it moves the needle. For me, it was a huge win to see that I could still make it happen even with everything else going on. But there was one more thing that helped me get back even more of my time, and I think you will find it helpful too. Tip number 2. The enemy is our chattering brain, which, if we give it so much as a nanosecond, will start producing excuses, alibis, transparent self-justifications, and a million reasons why we can't, shouldn't, or won't do what we know we need to do. Start before you are ready. Do you know that feeling when you've been looking forward to your guitar practice all day? You're eager to finally sit down and build your skills, but when the moment comes, you just can't start? That's exactly what happened to me more times than I can count. And even during this 7-day experiment, there was one day where it hit me hard. I was completely wiped. I just finished a full day of teaching. My head was buzzing and all I wanted to do was lie down and do nothing, which usually for me means scrolling YouTube. But I had my practice block scheduled, the one I've been looking forward to all day, and when it finally came, I just sat there staring at the wall, thinking of all the reasons why I should skip it. And the more I thought about practicing, the less I felt like I would actually do it. And then I remembered the last line from that quote, "Start before you are ready." And I definitely didn't feel ready to dive into focused work, but I picked up the guitar anyway and started going through the motions. At first my brain was still fighting me. This doesn't make sense, you are too tired, you won't get anything meaningful done, just skip it. But I kept going. And 10 minutes later, I was fully in it. I didn't just get through the session, it turned out to be one of the best of the week. The energy was there and the focus kicked in. And honestly, it really surprised me. What I learned is this: your brain will talk you out of anything if you give it time. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. So don't negotiate, just start, even if it's just 5 minutes. Take that feeling of not being ready and use it as your trigger. Because momentum doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. And once the wheels start turning, it's hard to stop. So start before you are ready. Tip number 3. If you apply just one thing from this video, let it be this one. This is the shift that can make guitar practice addictive as hell, and honestly, it is the reason most players never really break through. Here is what I've noticed, and maybe you have felt it too. You watch someone who's light years ahead of you, and instead of feeling inspired, you feel discouraged. You start thinking, why bother, I will never be that good. And that thought poisons your practice. Suddenly the energy you bring is weak, you are going through the motions, but deep down you are not convinced it's ever going to pay off. So what do? You default to the usual stuff: scales, arpeggios, finger exercises, the safe material. But none of it feels like it's taking you closer to the kind of guitarist you actually want to become. So you can connect the dots between what you are practicing and the player you dream of becoming. That's why your practice starts to feel boring and uninspired, because it's not bringing the kind of progress you need to keep momentum going. But there's a way to change it. Here is what I want you to do. Pick a solo, riff or lick that feels impossible right now. Something that intimidates you, and start learning it, even if it's just a few seconds. Don't wait 5 years until your skills catch up. Start now. Shock your brain and let it know this is how we practice now. We chase progress, even if it's just an inch forward. Because when you start your practice with something that's out of reach, the thing that actually moves your skills forward, you are almost guaranteeing progress. Use your best energy to tame that beast. Make your brain work, don't bore it with stuff you have played 1,000 times. Reset what feels normal. As part of my 7-day experiment, I started learning the solo from Ancestral of Steven Wilson's Hand Cannot Erase album, and that solo was written, or more likely improvised, by none other than Guthrie Govan. Honestly, it is one of the most epic guitar solos I have ever heard. Of course, parts of it are way too fast for me right now, but even spending just a few minutes with that solo surrounded me with greatness, and it made everything else I practiced feel more inspired and honestly easier. Each day I looked forward to that moment when I was immersed in that kind of playing. So if you are stuck and need a reset, try it. Throw away the boring checklist routine, stop polishing what you already know, dive into something that actually excites you and make your brain work. That's what will make you a better guitar player, and that's what will keep you coming back to practice like you are addicted.